Do you ever hear voices in the wind? Noises behind unopened doors? Closing your eyes might help. But for others, but for you, there's always the After Dark podcast. Welcome back, guys, to episode number 3, I do believe, of the After Dark podcast. Hopefully you guys are doing swell. Okay. So, how are you guys? Hopefully you guys are having a really good Thursday night. Hopefully you guys had a really good day today. And hopefully you guys are having a really good evening tonight. So, I don't know what to say. I mean, everything is done for me now, right? All the, yeah. So all the tags and everything are done. Let me go to my Twitter. If you guys are following me on Twitter, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, I am trying to be as more active as I can. Yeah. Oh, I saw me. I saw my Twitter, my tweets, right? Yes. See? Oh, so convenient. I like this program. Streamlabs OBS. I like it. And that was my douche trying to shake off some fleas. Hopefully not fleas. But I do have my tea here, hot and ready to go. It's pretty good tea right here. And hopefully you guys are having a refreshing evening with some really good tea. Because, you know, tea is good for the soul and such. Now, before we move forward, I do want to apologize for today's gameplay. Just so very much disappointed on Maple Story 2. It hurts. There's so much dialogue, man. I mean, if you're into that, if you're into the dialogue scene of like an MMO, I mean, personally, I like MMOs. But when I am stuck trying to read a whole book before I can get even like 2 seconds of game time, that's a no for me, bub. Sorry, Chief. I'm gonna have to move on to another game because it's boring. Okay, and like I said, I do apologize for live streaming such thing. So let me have my old welcome mat thing. Hold up, I'm typing. Give 1 second. The After Dark podcast. Boom. Awesome. 3 exclamation points because, you know, I do apologize. My Dodge is barking at the door because somebody's knocking. But anyways, so yes, I do apologize for the Maple Story 2 gameplay. And that's her. Yeah, it sucks. Maple Story 2 sucks. But if you're into that type of MMO game, you know, it's free on Steam right now. Back then you had to pay for it. But my God, like, why would you pay for it? Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and say that I'm probably like in the beginning stage, but yeesh, I cannot. Anyways, moving forward. Oh, yesterday and also look at this. Like right now, like you could actually see your comments on screen. So that's pretty cool. I learned how to do that. I'm learning how to do a lot of things. So anyways, let's keep going. So yesterday we were like finishing up on some Latin American urban legends, which, you know, you don't want to get stuck in the middle of the forest, right? I mean, yes, you have your standard anacondas and whatnot, but you know, and then there's also this bat-like creature, you know, so you don't want to be stuck in no forest. But today we will be going from Latin America all the way to Russia. Okay, we're going all the way to Russia and read the most terrifying Russian urban legends and ghost stories. And this website is called Ranker.com, and the article was by Jacoby Bancroft. So it's too much. Too much. Okay, so the header says Russia's cold distillated atmosphere is the perfect setting for a lot of creepy phenomenon and Russian urban legends. Whatever it is, whether it is a deep hole in Siberian ice that leads directly to hell, or a horrific bird creature that is seemingly a harbinger of death, Russian ghost stories are some of the scariest sounds, and it's not just urban legends. They are real, probably scary stories from Russia, like the radio station that's been broadcasting a series of buzzes interpreted by secret codes for over 40 years. Wow. Okay. So this article highlights the creepiest urban legends and ghost stories ever to come out of Russia, Mother Russia. Right. Anyways, I am fond of Russia. I mean, you know, when you hear Russia, you hear unafraid men and women, of course. You know, you hear stories of them being like, oh, bigger than anybody else in the world, right? So you go like, hey man, he's Russian, she's Russian, they're the toughest people in the world, right? But we will see today what keeps them up at night. For the first story, I believe everybody knows about it, the Russian sleep experiment. Okay, and you know, since we already got the tags out of the way, we'll get straight to it. So, the Russian sleep experiment. Although this has been debunked, it's still one of the creepiest ghost stories to ever come out of Russia. It's known as the Russian sleep experiment. According to the stories, researchers in the 1940s took 5 prison inmates and locked them up in an airtight chamber with a special gas to keep them awake. That sucks. They wanted to see the effects of prolonged sleep deprivation and promised the subject their freedom if they could go 30 days without sleep. The result were disastrous and horrific. On the 5th day, paranoia started to set in, and they stopped talking to one another. On the 9th day, a few of them started screaming relentlessly, while the others tore apart the books they were given, smeared them with faces, and blocked off the one-way mirrors so they couldn't be watched anymore. Then the screaming stopped, and 3 days went by without a sound from the inside the chamber. The researchers addressed them via the intercom and said they were coming in and to lie flat on the floor. Then one of the voices answered, "We no longer want to be freed." After 15 days, the researchers finally opened up the chamber, and the sight inside was horrific. One of the subjects was dead and torn to shreds, with chunks of him stuffed into the floor drains. The other 4 subjects had mutilated themselves to the brink of death, and were terrified at the thought of actually going to sleep and begged to stay in the chamber. They were forcefully removed, and when surgeons tried to repair the damage, they resisted so strongly that they couldn't be sedated. They laughed maniacally as they were sewn back together, fully awake and aware of what was going on. Eventually, after demanding to return to the chamber, the head researcher told his team to let them back in, but one of the members of the team resisted, shot the head researcher, and then shot one of the 2 remaining subjects before killing the last one. He asked a single question: "What are you?" The subject responded, "Have you forgotten so easily? We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment of your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go to the nocturnal heaven. We're where we cannot thread." The researcher, having gotten his answer, shot the last remaining subject in the heart. The Russian sleep experiment, huh? I mean, isn't there some truth to this, right? I believe, I mean, I wasn't paying attention back in, when I was in high school in history class, but I believe back in World War II, didn't the Germans try to do something similar to this, trying to make super soldiers? It's my dog again, trying to get her 5 minutes of fame. But yes, the researchers, what would you guys do if you guys wouldn't be able to sleep? Would you guys think that you guys will be in the same situation as these men? I mean, obviously it has been quote unquote debunked, but do we really know it was debunked? Maybe, like other people would say, it's just, you know, the government trying to patch something up. Is it, Bruno? Damn, son, I didn't know that. That's the plot of Captain America. Hey, it's still a good plot. Tell me what you think about the comments, by the way. You get to see your own comment in the screen right now as well. Look at that. I learned how to do that just today, like just right now, actually, like a couple of seconds ago. Let me drink, you know, take a sip of yield tea, and we'll continue with the second story. That's good. It's good tea. But yes, the Russian sleep experiment. Don't go to sleep tonight, people, because we don't want to see the demons that lurk inside our minds, within our subconscious. The next story, or the urban legend. Oh, by the way, let me put this out, because to me, some urban legends do have some truth to it. By the way, Bruno, if you're still in the live stream, welcome to the After Dark podcast, season 2. I forgot to put that in the comment, but it is season 2 right now. So you are witnessing season 2, my friend. And season 2 will run for 15 days, so 15 episodes, and then we're gonna have a special on Halloween. Okay, just throwing that out there before we move on. Okay, because I know you haven't been on the podcast lately, and I know you're busy with the whole moving thing, but that is what's happening right now. Season 2, baby, and I am hyped for it. So the next story we are gonna continue is called The Collector. Let the car pass. Let the man in the VTEC pass. And then, okay, there we go. Okay. The urban legend revolving the collector in Russia actually was real world roots. In 2011, a man was arrested in Russia after his shocking secret was discovered. He liked to dig up corpses and dress the remains in women's clothing to display all around his home. In total, he dug up 29 corpses. This absolutely sickening event helped spur the legend of the collector, a mysterious figure who kidnaps people, kills them, and puts their mummified remains on display. The collector is known all over the world, but with such a creepy true story coming from Russia, the legend looms largest here. Short but sweet. This wow, so this is actually a real story. The Collector. Let us Google it, because I want to know more about this person. Apparently, he dug up 29 graves and displayed them like a museum. Ain't that something? I think there was a movie of it too. I think it's on Netflix as well, The Collector. But I doubt it has the same, you know, the same premises as the whatchamacallit, as the urban legend, or not even urban legend, the real life story. So I can't find anything. I'm only finding the movie. I don't want the movie. We can't find anything. I'm sorry, folks. You guys are just gonna have to take the word of the article, The Collector. Do apologize for the noise in the background. There is no traffic in the street behind me, but you know that doesn't stop the people from using the street as a drag strip. You know, and like I said before, I am one for drag racing, but not in public streets. The next story is called The Whale to Hell. That sounds like a song. It sounds like a AC/DC song, actually. The Whale to Hell. Why not? According to legend, a Russian scientific team was drilling in Siberia when they came across something no one could explain. While drilling a large hole, the machine started to go wild. The scientists felt the urge of extreme heat radiate from the hole, and if they listened carefully, they could hear faint noises coming from within. When they tested the heat at the bottom of their hole, it came back about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. They lowered their microphones down into their well and heard the sound they would never forget. The sound of human voices crying out in agony. It was the most blood-curdling scream any of them had ever heard. And the group quickly realized that they discovered a well to hell. Okay, hold up. Everything was going fine up until the end. That just kind of made me chuckle a little bit. The whale to hell. They discovered the whale to hell. Come on, man. Couldn't they just not try to rhyme it? The hole to hell? The gateway to hell? Come on, man. But no. The whale to hell. If this is true, just imagine. Just imagine. You know? You living in Siberia. You come across the whale to hell. Put your ears close to the ice, and all you're gonna hear are desperate screams for salvation. Wow. Russia. I mean, I know you're Russia, but come on. we move on to the Blackbird of Chernobyl. Now, Chernobyl. I don't know. I'm getting confused myself, but Chernobyl, if nobody knows, it's a big old, I mean, everybody knows what happens. It's pretty much a place, a whole pretty much town that got blown away. If you guys played Call of Duty 4, the remake or the original, you'll know what I'm talking about, because they had a whole scene, like a whole level dedicated to that one spot. Had nothing to do with the history, but hey, it's still something nice to see real world stuff in a game every now and then. But the Chernobyl disaster, also referred to as the Chernobyl accident, quote unquote accident, was a catastrophic nuclear accident, quote unquote accident. It occurred on the 25th through the 26th of April 1986 in number 4 light water graphite moderate reactor at the Chernobyl nuclear waste, pretty much. The cause was inadvertent explosion of core during the emergency shutdown to react and stuff like that, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to get into the detail because this is not the story, but I just want to give you guys some background of what the Chernobyl disaster was. Okay. Okay, fine. You know what? Because we're going to have to know this anyways. Let's see. The date was April 26, 1986, 32 years ago. Let me see. It was about 1:23 in Moscow time. 31 deaths, 15 estimated indirect deaths up until 2011. So pretty much the whole town didn't get wiped. I mean, yeah, the whole town got wiped, but only 46 got killed. You know, I mean, seeing how this is a big old place, right? You're thinking, oh, a bunch of people are gonna die, but you know, only a couple. I mean, that's good, right? So we go back to the Blackbird of Chernobyl. Chernobyl, I don't know. A lot of people know about the horrific Chernobyl disaster, but most are unaware of the creepy circumstances some people were facing before it'll happen. According to some Some of the survivors, shortly before the Hung nuclear plant's meltdown, they all started experiencing weird phenomena, including nightmares, threatening phone calls, and encounters with a huge winged beast that came to be known as the Blackbird of Chernobyl. General accounts reported that it looked like a large creature like man with huge wings and red eyes. Some even reported seeing it over one of the reactors as it went through the meltdown. People are quick to relate that the apparent harbinger of death to the legend of Mothman in West Virginia, which started showing up right before the Silver Bridge collapse. The way people describe these two beings are so similar that one is left to wonder if there really are creatures out there that show up when something bad is going to happen. So if you see a large, scary bird man on the way to work, maybe, just maybe, it would be better to just turn around and go home. Hey, just like the Mothman, right? Who knows about the Mothman? For those of you who don't know the Mothman legend, it pretty much comes from West Virginia. Legend. Oh, that's how you spell legend. Apparently, there's a winged beast in West Virginia that comes, right? So every time there's a disaster, he has something to do with it because he's always around disaster. You know, like that famous article, right? That you hear that the bridge, when the bridge collapsed, you could actually see something in it when it zooms in. You could actually see something lurking over the bridge. There's even statues of them too. So if you live in West Virginia, please let me see the statue. I would like to see it. I don't want to see no Google image statue. That don't count. But nevertheless, the Blackbird of Chernobyl. Chernobyl? I still don't know how to say it, but something similar to that is happening over there in Russia. We move on to the curse of the Ivan Vasily. Nobody on board the ship knew exactly how the Ivan Vasily became haunted, but everybody could sense that they were carrying something they shouldn't have. It started off small, with crew members growing uneasy, feeling like something was watching them, but things soon grew more hectic. One night, all the crew members suddenly went berserk and started attacking one another, not knowing why they felt the urge to do this. It ended when one of the crewmen flung himself overboard and committed suicide. A few days later, it happened again, and another crew member jumped off board. Once the ship docked, most of the crew abandoned the ship, and new crew was hired to handle the cargo. While out on the sea, the same thing happened, and 4 people died on the journey, including the captain who flung himself overboard. After this went on for quite a while, people knew that the ship realized the only way to deal with it was to burn the ship down. The sailors gathered in tugboats and cheered as they watched the ship go up in flames. The Ivan Vasily. I am fond of pirates. Oh, okay, so I went to another website. This one's called the underworldtales.com. The header of this whole article says, "It may scare you to death." Bet, but it's about the Ivan Vasily, the haunted ship. One of the most terrifying and shockingly true ghost stories in history took place in Russian freighter. Freighter? So it's actually true. The Ivan, I'm going to call it Ivan because I have no idea how to pronounce the last one. So the Ivan was not a typical cursed or jinxed ship. It was nothing unusual or spectacular about her. She was built in St. Petersburg in 1897 to transport freight across the Baltic Sea to the Gulf of Finland, and was driven by a single triple expansion steam engine. Her bunker carried enough coal to take her 2,500 miles at a speed of 8 knots. I have no idea about ships, but for those of you who know, there it is. She was made to revited iron plates, while her deck and superstructure were wood. So it was pretty much a solid ship. So why did it got cursed? That is a long story. Oh, should we read it? I mean, we pretty much know what happened, but the one thing I do want to know is why it got cursed. This type of haunting went on for days before the danger of the situation. One night before the change. Yes. Okay, so it's not gonna help us. So, but we pretty much know the synopsis of what happened in the ship. It was a big old ship with a bunch of people just randomly killing themselves. There is a similar urban legend. I forgot where it was. I forgot what part of the USA it was, but the urban legend said, and we were reading it on season 1 of the After Dark podcast. Let me see if I can remember correctly. It said that if you stared at the ship long enough, the ship will like let you see someone you like, or like somebody close to you, and that pretty much means that that person's gonna die. That is very creepy. You know what I mean? You know, Freddy Krueger has his ways, right? He waits for you to sleep and then gets you on your, like, pretty much when you're vulnerable. The ship, you look at it for long enough, you know, instead of getting beef with you, he kills a person that you like. Don't look at ships anymore, people. You don't wanna see old Yeller up there and then, you know, dead the next. Let me take a sip of my tea, please. Oh boy. But that was to Ivan Vasily. Oh, okay, this was interesting too, because this one is true. This other one's true. Oh, this next one is called The Buzzer. It's a creepy tale right out of science fiction show. The Russian radio station nicknamed The Buzzer has been broadcasting and letting out a buzz about every other second since the 1970s. Every few months, the buzzing is suddenly interrupted with the boys saying UVB76, followed by a series of numbers and code words. Then the buzzing starts up again. No one has figured out what it means, but a number of theorists suggest that it's just a secret military communication method, or that it may even be a countermeasure for nuclear war. This one is actually true, and wow, 40 years on the air. My question is, why haven't they gone to the radio tower? You know, the radio station? I'm pretty sure every, like, you know, station has, like, every station in the radio has its own post, right? So why don't they just go up to it and see why it's still beeping? That was this last sip of my tea. That was a pretty good tea, but that's weird. UVB76 followed by a series of numbers and code words. Amazing. This next one's called the Black Volga. During the 1960s and 70s, a legend started circulating about a mysterious black Volga. As the nation lived in fear of the Cold War, rumors started to grow about a fancy limousine that would abduct children right off the street. No one could ever see the driver, and theories range from the car being driven by crazed nuns to be inhabited by Lucifer himself. The urban legend got so out of control that the car was eventually reported to have horns instead of side mirrors. And anybody claiming the Volga wasn't involved in a child's disappearance would be dead in 24 hours. Those type of vehicles were some of the most expensive during the time period and were often used by high-ranking members of the Communist Party and other officials. Take that as you will. Trust me, this limousine coming into the hood, gone in like 2 seconds. Especially if it's like, you know, this fancy, dude. Come on. Why would you want to see a little kid get abducted? You know. The black bolga. Now, why kids though, right? Like, why would you take away kids and not grown adults? Because we might fight back? Are you scared, Satan? Tell me. Tweet me out. I want to know. The next one is called the Rusalka Week. Rusalka Week. Whatever you do, stay away from the Rusalka. They're fish women who like to seduce men by serenading them, only to grab them and pull them into their watery graves. Usually, the Rusalka are spirits of women who have been scorned by their lovers. They're either been murdered by those closest to them or have committed suicide. The legend of the Rusalka is probably popular in Russia, that they have made a full week devoted to them. The first week of June is known as Rusalka Week, and it's when the Rusalka are said to be the most active. The superstitious even warn others not to trust any feelings they develop towards someone during this week. They say it's not true love, but rather the work of a nearby Rusalka who is casting a spell. I'm single. Shit. Let me go out in Rusalka Week. At least I won't die alone. Jesus Christ. Don't commit suicide, people, please. Like I said, I don't want to read urban legends or legends about you guys, because if you guys die, who am I going to be telling these urban legends to? You know, you'll have, like, you know, your moment of fame, yes, but for what? That's it. You know, so please, if you're in a love triangle, like we did discuss, what, I think it was yesterday, you know, break apart, like, break away from it, you know, because if the guy or girl is undecisive, they're pretty much not meant for you, and just move on. Okay, so the Rusalka is pretty much women who have died, committed suicide, or have been mistreated by their loved ones and pretty much killed. And during the first weeks of June, the first week of June, the Rusalka are the most active. Wow. This next one's called the Mummified Man. Not really an urban legend, but rather a cautionary tale. The story revolves around the unfortunate Vladimir Ledenev, whose mummified remains were found in his own apartment 6 years after he vanished without a trace. Apparently, no one cared enough to actually go inside. They always just knocked on the door and left. It was right on the other side all along, slowly rotting away. His body was discovered in a sitting position with slightly fleshy arms, still leaning in the dusty kitchen table, an empty vodka bottle set in front of him. Wow. Vladimir Ledenev. Take care of your family members, please. You know, don't just knock on the doors and be like, ah, okay, he's fine, yeah. And then knock on the door. Yeah, he's fine. Let's move on with our day. Come on. Jiggle the doorknob, you know, try to open the door. Be like that one episode from the Fairly Odd Parents, right? Where the dad goes like, Timmy, are you in your room? And then he goes like, by knocking, I'm respecting your privacy or whatever, but because I'm your father or something like that, I have more authority, and just like busts open the damn door. There it is. You have an excuse. Bust open that door, be like, yeah, I see you. You ain't getting away from me. The next one's called the Spirit on Lieutenant Schmid's Bridge. The city of St. Petersburg has an abundance of ghosts and ghouls that tend to haunt the area. But the most intriguing might be the ghost of Sofia Perovskaya. Okay, first, before we move on, I do apologize. You know, I mean, I'm not fluent in like the Russian language, and these names, you know, I never read them before. This is my first time reading them, so I will be stuttering a lot. Just fair warning, and apologize. So don't hurt me. In the early 20th century, she was a member of a radical party and carried out assassination attempts on the imperial family. She was eventually hanged for her crimes, but it wasn't the end of it. People say that when the weather gets bad, Sofia appears on the bridge over the here it goes, the Ekaterininsky channel, face blue from suffocation, and her robes burns, still visible. She is said to be holding a white handkerchief which would signal her comrades to begin their uprising. She was a leader, right? I mean, not a leader, but like a follower. This is pretty much Assassin's Creed, except that I don't think Assassin's Creed was, you know, with the handkerchief. But hey, you know what I mean. That's interesting, actually. Maybe she was like a rebel, you know? Maybe she was killing off the imperial family because she knew that they were bad people. And just hurting the state of the town, country, you know, or state. So, Sophia, more power to you. You know, throw some white flags over there, I don't know. Let the revolution rise. This next one's called the Underground Soviet Shelter. One of the most fascinating urban legends in Russia is that there are secret underground shelters and tunnels built by Stalin and the government during World War II. Stories of how crazy and big these underground layers will grow over time, to the point that people speculate that there are vast underground airports and tank tunnels below the city of Moscow. How much of it's real and how much of it's just fabricated nonsense? Well, there are underground bunkers left over the Cold War, and the vast secretive tunnel network may have more plausibility than most people believe, especially when you take into the account the fact that the Moscow subway has lots of blocked gateways and stairways that supposedly go nowhere. An underground colony within Moscow. It's just like the stories in France, right? The tunnels. What are they called? The caverns or something like that. The French caverns. The French caverns. Hold up. I'm googling it. I forgot what it's called. That's why. Catacombs. There we go. The Catacombs of Paris. There we go. Just like that. Yeah, thank you, Bruno. I am just not knowing the names of it. But yeah, the Catacombs of Paris. Just the same thing as that, just in Moscow. But this one's a lot bigger, though. Speculating that there's an actual airport underneath the ground. But, you know, I am no... what's that called? Air physicist or whatever, or airplane engineer master or whatever, but don't you need air for the damn plane to go up? I mean, if you're underground, you can bet that, you know, the more lower you go, the less air, like the thinner the air is, right? So unless they're throwing paper airplanes and blowing them with their own lungs, I can understand it's real. But for right now, it's just a theory. Before we move on to the other story, let me do say this, okay? Let me just say this. If you guys are listening to the After Dark podcast season 2 on your phone, please, gomenasai. No, wait. Onegaishimasu. Don't play with your phones while driving. I swear to God. I'm gonna tell you guys this every day for the rest of October. You know, turn on the After Dark podcast. Put me on speaker. Throw your phone in the passenger seat, and just listen. Because, like I said, it's all audio, no visuals. Yeah, I do have a little campfire this time around, but that's just for aesthetics, okay? But you guys are listening to my voice. Don't play around with your phones while driving. Put me on the aux cord and listen to my beautiful voice on the four corners of your car, if you must. But don't touch the phone. Pay attention on the road, please. Today, I'm not even kidding you guys. Today, I was going to the store, and all of a sudden, this car was backing up while looking at her phone, and all of a sudden, the bus comes out of nowhere, and all we can hear was a bus beeping, like beep, beep, beep. Of course, the damn car just stopped dead on its tracks, and then the bus had to swerve a little bit. Come on, the phone is meant to go in the glove compartment. If you are driving with somebody else and you guys want to listen to the After Dark podcast, please tell that person, hey, can you go to his channel? You know what I mean? It's already 9:15 California time. I want to listen to his podcast, which I do, thank you very much. But please don't play with your phones while driving. It annoys me a lot. And the fact that I get this close to death because people are playing with their phones, it's annoying. Maybe I'm going to be there and I'm going to be a ghost in these urban legends saying, oh, there's the ghost of Last Dinosaur, or Shiaki saying, screaming at people in their phones, like while driving on their phones. I'm going to slap the phone out of your hands stop playing with your phones. Damn it, please. That's over. Alright, let's move on now, okay? This next story is called The Dwarf Noise. Much like the Candle Cove story in the United States, Russia has a similar urban legend regarding a movie called The Dwarf Noise. According to the story, the Soviet Union once broadcasted a creepy, disturbing film on television one night. No records of the film has been found, and skeptics believes that the film never existed at all. Still, according to the story, there are those who won't stop trying to find a copy of the mysterious film, no matter the cost. They relentlessly question why the movie aired in the first place, and why the government is so adamant about covering it up. If you guys have seen Candle Cove, I believe it was on the show called Channel Zero on Sci-Fi. It was an interesting show. I liked it. In the show, pretty much revolves around kids who've seen this show called Candle Cove on television a couple years ago, right? Back when they were just kids. But they grew up, and all of a sudden they go back, to the town that they all lived in before when they were watching the episode, and all of a sudden, boom, there it is. Candle Cove all over again, and a lot of things happen. A lot of people die, and yada yada yada. So the white noise, the dwarf noise, is pretty much the same thing. That's interesting. Also, speaking of the dwarf noise and the Candle Cove, I just heard somebody scream outside. Perfect timing. Speaking of Candle Cove, it's technically the same thing as what happened in Japan, right? With the Lavender Town syndrome, where little kids would play Pokemon. I believe it was Red version, and the very first release cartridges of Red version, and all of a sudden when kids would go to Lavender Town, they would, just space out and had seizures and stuff like that just because of the noise. Now, I don't know You know, people say that it's not true, but who may really know? This next story is called The Haunted Kremlin. Many people believe the famous Kremlin is one of the most haunted places in all of Russia, and some of the country's most vile individuals now roam the ancient halls. Reports have placed the spirit of Ivan the Terrible on the bell tower, as well as oddly seen the spirit of Lenin walking around while Lenin was still very much alive. Though the most notable ghost might be one of Russia's most infamous leaders. Whenever there's a cold spot in the Kremlin, it's said to be the ghost of Stalin. Not happy with the way his country is being run after all these years. Besides these main ghosts, the Kremlin is said to be the house of numerous other spirits and otherworldly phenomena. Wow. I mean, if you were a passionate leader and, you know, all of a sudden died, wouldn't you be pissed too if things wouldn't be going the same way that you set to be out, you know? Like, if you wanted this thing to be colored purple throughout the whole life, you know, throughout the whole entire existence, next thing you know, you die, and all of a sudden here comes somebody else being like, yeah, you know what, purple's not the color, it's painted green. And then, of course, I'll be pissed. I'll be like, whoa, wait a minute, who the hell is this guy? The hell? Purple was going fine up until this moron right here decided to paint it green. I would be pissed too. Stalin, I feel you, buddy. Wherever you may be. This next one's called the... Oh, I'm sorry about that. The Chapayevsk Ghost. Most ghost stories seem to have one thing in common: tragedy. The rest of the spirits usually have some unfinished business or are searching for something important as they wander around the plane of existence. One famous Russian ghost story comes from the city of Chapayevsk, and it starts with two young lovers, Elena and Alexei. The two were madly in love, but right before their wedding, Alexei was killed in a chemical accident at work. The story goes that Elena was so distraught she threw herself in front of the train wearing her homemade wedding dress, but death did not bring her to peace. There are numerous reports of people seeing Elena wander around the cemeteries where she was buried, still wearing her white dress. Many think she's still searching for her lost love. I mean, not so scary, just a sad story, pretty much, you know? Unfortunately, the man died in an accident at work, and Elena just being there, waiting for her love to come home, realize that he's dead. Very tragic. Very tragic indeed. The next one is called The Church of the Savior on Spilled Blood. The Church of the Savior on Spilled Blood is one of the most strikingly beautiful pieces of architecture in Russia, but many are unaware that it has an abundance of mysteries and secret hidden within its walls. One of the most notable is a rumor icon hidden under the roof. Some say it has numbers carved in it that seemingly predict misfortune for Russia. The numbers visible in it include 1917, the year of Russia's revolution, and 1941, the year Germany invaded Soviet Union during World War II. Well, I mean, if this is the one that I'm seeing right now in this picture, it is. I like it. It's amazing. But a building that can tell the future, that's something to behold. What would you guys do if you guys would know all of a sudden your future? You know, like you would know exactly what you would eat tomorrow. Would you still continue to eat it, or would you try to change what's lying before you? Who knows? The next one's called The Legend of Brosnia. If you thought the Loch Ness Monster was the only prehistoric mythological water beast around, think again. Think deep within Lake Brosna, located in the Andriapol district of the Tver region. A monster lurks below the surface. Russians call the creature Brosnia, and numerous witnesses have stepped forward claiming to see it. They all have described the creature with that looks like a dragon's head, long thin tail. There are those that claim it is actually a relative to the Loch Ness Monster and has been around for centuries. It has made people pay more attention to the ancient legends and stories surrounding the lake, especially in the stories about the Tatar Mongol army that fled the area in the 8th century after encountering a giant creature that devoured horses and soldiers. So, Brosnia, right? That's the name of the monster. Brosnia, yeah. Let's look it up. I actually want to see him. Brosnia. Okay, I feel a sneeze coming. Okay. Oh god, it's gone away. I was gonna say I do apologize. Brosnia. Let me see. Okay, wait, hold up. He looks way cooler than the Loch Ness Monster. Like, what the hell? It looks cooler. Dragon head. I like that. Brosnia. And apparently this monster dragon thing is pretty good. It's pretty good. Brosno dragon is Russian folklore. Brosno dragon, also known as Brosnia, is the name given to a lake monster which is said to inhabit Lake Brosno near Andropol in West Russia. It is described as resembling a dragon and is the subject of a numerous of regional legends, which are some said back to date all the way to the 13th century. Wow. Brosnia, huh? That's interesting. This last one, wait, is it the last one? Let me see. Let's go back to the title. No, I mean, there's another side to the page. This one's called the Blazing Orb. You might remember a huge meteor that appeared in Russia back in 2013. But you might be less familiar with the creepy, weird phenomena that came shortly afterwards. In the town of Chelyabinsk, right near where the meteor shot across the sky, people reported strange happenings a short time after. Many people reported seeing an ominous glowing fog descending from the sky and what looked like a giant blazing orb. Meteorologists suggest that the glowing fog and the bright blazing orb might just be the result of street light reflecting off ice crystals. But the fact that it happened near where the meteor struck has led many to believe the fog is alien in nature. Who here believes in aliens? I mean, wouldn't it be selfish to say that aliens don't exist? Right? if you say that aliens don't exist, then wouldn't that make you selfish? I mean, you're pretty much saying that we are the only living things in this universe. But how are you so sure? Right? How are we so sure? Let me see the next list. The next list. Huh. Oh. Okay, so the next list is pretty much, you know, straight out of the horrors of books. Okay, and this one's called the same website. It's called 16 Super Bizarre Eastern European Myths and Legends to keep you all night, to keep you up all night. Eastern European myths are all about creepy creatures. Everyone knows what they have. Oh, that we have Romania to thank for vampire myths. But what about the lesser known cryptids and creatures? As it turns out, there's a wealth of terrifying folklore from Eastern Europe. Many of those legends are influenced by the unique landscape of Eastern Europe, drawing from the dense forest and barren lands to create richly detailed tales. Detailed tales. That is very satisfying to say. Detailed tales that are invariably terrifying. Read through the list of creepy Eastern European legends and vote of the scariest of them all. Now, Eastern European, you know what? We will do these tomorrow because these are interesting. Okay, we're not gonna start this list today. Let me see. Instead, we're gonna go to another website called pitt.edu. Okay, and this website, the article is called "The Vampire and Ghost Stories from Russia," and it's edited by D.L. Ashliman. I don't know. So, the first story, yeah, we're gonna read like one or two stories, right? Because this is fairly short website, and we don't want to, eat the whole thing in one sitting. We want to save up for tomorrow. It's like Chinese takeout. It tastes better when you leave it there overnight. But the first story is called "The Coffin Lid." You know what? Seeing how small the text are, it does seem kind of like long. I'm having trouble pronouncing this word. Maujik was driving along one night with a load of pots. His horse grew tired, and all of a sudden it came to a standstill alongside the graveyard. The Maujik unharnessed the horse and set it free to graze. Meanwhile, he laid himself down on one of the graves, but somehow he didn't go to sleep. He remained lying there some time. Suddenly, the grave began to open underneath him. He felt the movement and sprang up to his feet. The grave opened, and out of it came a corpse, wrapped in a white shroud and holding a coffin lid. Came out and ran to the church, laid the coffin lid at the door, and then set out for the village. The Maujik was a daring fellow. He picked up the coffin lid and remained standing beside his cart, waiting to see what would happen next. After a short delay, the dead man came back and was going to snatch up his coffin lid, but it was not to be seen. Then the corpse began to track it down, traced it up to the Maujik, and said, "Give me back my lid. If you don't, I'll tear you to bits." "And my hatchet? How about that?" answered the Maujik. "Why, it's I who'll be chopping you into bits." "Do give it back to me, good man," begs the corpse. "I'll give it to you when you tell me where you've been and what you've done." "Well, I've been in the village, and there I killed a couple of youngsters." "Well then, now tell me how they can be brought back to life." The corpse reluctantly made answer. Cut off, oh God, cut off the left skirt of my shroud and take it with you. When you come into the house where the youngsters were killed, pour some live coal into a pot and put the piece of the shroud in them, and then lock the door. The lads will be revived by the smoke immediately. The Magic cut off the left skirt of the shroud and gave back the coffin lid. The corpse went back to its grave. The grave opened, but it was a dead man. Wait. The grave opened, but just as the dead man was descending into it, all of a sudden the cocks began to crow, and he hadn't time to get properly covered over. One end of the coffin lid remained sticking out of the ground. The Magic saw that it was made. The Magic saw all this and made a note of it. The day began to dawn. He harnessed his horse and drove into the village. In one of the houses he heard cries and wailing, and he went. There lay 2 dead lads. Don't cry, he said. I can bring him back to life. Do bring them back to life, kinsman, say the relative. We'll give you half of all we possess. The Majak did everything as the corpse had instructed him, and the lads came back to life. The relatives were delighted, but they immediately seized the Majak and bound him with cords, saying, No, trickster. We'll hand you over to the authorities, since you knew how to bring them back to life. Maybe it was you who killed them. What are you thinking about? What are you thinking about, true believers? Have the fear of God before your eyes, cried the Magic. Then he told them everything that happened during the night. Well, to spread the news through the village, the whole population assembled and swarmed into the graveyard. They found out the grave from which the dead man had came out. They tore it open, and they drove an aspen stake right into the heart of the corpse, so that it might no more rise up and slay. But they rewarded the Magic richly, and sent him away home with a great honor. The source of the story was W.R.S. Ralston, Russian Folk Tales, London Smith, Elder & Co., 1873, pages 309 to 311. Ralston sources, Alexander Afanasyev, I don't know, page 142 to 144, from the Tambov government. Wow, this story is interesting. You got a corpse coming out of the ground, you know, setting aside his coffin, and all of a sudden goes to town on a killing spree. Comes back and tries to get his coffin back, but the man pretty much tells him, hey, you know, how can you bring him back? You know, so, you know, reading this story, to me, it makes, like, you know, okay, so the Magic guy, the Mojic, I don't know how to pronounce that word, the Mojic pretty much knew what he was going to do, and did. Wow. So he goes home with honors and riches, huh? Wow. Do we have enough time for one more? And this one's short too, so this one's called The 2 Corpses. A soldier had obtained leave to go home on furlough, to pray to the holy image and to bow down before his parents as he was going his way. At a time when the sun had long set and all was dark around, it chanced that he had to pass by a graveyard. I see a graveyard theme going on here. Just then he heard that someone was running after him and crying, "Stop! You can't escape!" He looked back, and there was a corpse running and gnashing his teeth. The soldier sprang on to one side with all his might and began to run away from it. Caught sight of a little chapel and bolted straight into it. There wasn't a soul in the chapel, but stretched out on a table there lay another corpse, with tapers burning in front of him. The soldier hid behind himself. The soldier hid himself in the corner and remained there, hardly knowing whether he was alive or dead, but waiting to see what would happen. Presently up ran the first corpse, the one that had chased the soldier, and dashed into the chapel. Thereupon one that was laying on the table jumped up and cried to it. Oh, this is Old English. What hast thou come here for? I have chased a soldier in here, so I'm going to eat him. Come now, brother. He's run into my house. I shall eat him myself. No, I shall. No, I shall. And they set to work fighting. The dust flew like anything. They had gone on fighting for ever so long. Only the cocks began to crow. Then both of the corpses fell lifeless in the ground, and the soldier went on his way homeward in peace, saying, Glory be to thee, O Lord. I am saved from the wizards. Okay, what? What? Hold up. Okay, so he was coming home from war, right? So yeah, so he was coming home, and as fate would have it, hold on. The sources of this story is W.R.S. Ralston, Russian Folktale, London, Smith, Elder and Co., 1873, page 312, and Ralston source Alexander Afanasiev v. pages 324 through 325. Okay, so just throwing that out there. But so this soldier was coming home, and as fate would have it, he would have to cross a graveyard, and all of a sudden he's been chased by a zombie, which, let me tell you that, or a wizard apparently. He was actually, you know, pretty well mannered, you know, told him to stop and he can't escape. Interesting. Very interesting stories from Russia. So we're gonna continue these stories and the other ones from the Eastern European tomorrow. But for now, thank you guys for coming. I really do appreciate it. If you guys stayed in the live stream, you know, I really do appreciate you so much. If you guys see this in the replay on YouTube, it's the same thing. You know, I really do appreciate you so much. Bruno, thank you for staying in the live stream, because I know you left, but you know, that's all good. But thank you for staying a while. It really does mean a lot to me, man. Hopefully you have a really good night too. So moving forward, let me give out the recommendation movie for tonight. What shall I recommend for tonight? Let me see. Yeah, I was watching a very interesting movie today. It was very interesting, but I don't know. Maybe it's not meant to be for everybody else, you know. But you know, we're not gonna get into it. Let me see. What can we recommend? Give me a sec, and I will see which one. Yesterday we recommended The Babadook. It's an interesting story. I mean, not a horror story, but very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Let me see. What about... You know what? What about the movie Oculus? Oculus, a 2013 thriller mystery movie that runs for about an hour and 45 minutes. It's rated R, so kids, you know, watch at your own dismay. But yes, Oculus. I've seen this one like so many times. I mean, it's interesting. The only thing I don't like is that dumb sister, you know, tries to go back and tries to do the inedible. Jesus Christ, man. But that's about it. Other than that, it's a pretty good movie. Let me see. Ooh, I don't have the information for it, but you know, the Oculus was release date on April 11, 2014. What the hell does it say 2013 there? Directed by Mike Flanagan. Okay, and the screenplay was by Mike Flanagan and Jeff Howard. So that's tonight's movie recommendation. It's a pretty good movie to end today. You know, parallel universe, same thing like in Russia, the well to hell, or the underground. You know, having its own city underneath Moscow. So yeah, pretty good movie. Go watch it. It's not that scary. I mean, yeah, you have your little parts there and all, but other than that, I still blame the sister. So, anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. I'm sorry. I really do appreciate it. First and again, I am really sorry for the live stream, the gameplay live stream today. I didn't know Maple Story 2 was gonna be that bad, but hey, if you're into that type of MMO game where there's a bunch of dialogue and little to do with adventure, go download it on Steam. It's free to play right now, so I don't know why would you pay like $20-something for it when it came out, but you know, c'est la vie. But yes, thank you guys for watching, and like I said in the gameplay live stream tomorrow, I might be playing some Super Mario Maker again, just because I like it. You know, I mean, yeah, we did play Mario Kart 8 the other time, but we didn't have enough time to be playing Super Mario Maker, so we'll definitely get playing tomorrow Super Mario Maker. And on that note, make sure to always bring a flashlight. Never walk alone on an empty street. And always, I mean always, double check your surroundings, because you may never know who or what can be lurking after dark. Peace out, everybody. Have a great night, and a safe one too.